Hello everyone, I hope you're all doing well today. The name is Harry Cruz and today we're going to be continuing our playthrough through the Citadel of Chaos, Book 2 of the Fighting Fantasy Gamebook series. Now if you're new to these gamebook series, I'd recommend you watching at least the very start of the Book 2 playlist, which will be in the description below. I've also done the Warlock of FIRETOP Mountain, so feel free to have a look at that as well for part 1. I hope everyone's doing ever so well today and I look forward to going through the rest of the book. This is our second playthrough from the beginning, so I'm hoping that we're going to do better this time around because we've got a bit more equipment, which is excellent. Okay, so leaving the chamber, there are two doors in front of us. Should we take the left-hand door or the right-hand door? Now, as you can see, this is our current situation. We are actually at full capacity in terms of our stamina, which is brilliant. 22 stamina, 11 skill and 8 luck. We have got an information that the password is a scimitar. Last time we defeated a creature which gave us gold pieces and a hairbrush, which was excellent. We also, in the courtyard on the way into the Citadel, chatted to a couple of humanoid figures. We've got an enchanted dagger, which was good for combat. We also got, as well, from a group of companions around a fire in the courtyard, we also got 2 extra spells, as you can see below, and we've also got a jar of ointment as well, and a copper key, which hopefully those, those items will be of assistance to us. So without further ado, let's continue our playthrough of the book. So, leaving the chamber, there are 2 doors in front of us, left or right. Now, beforehand, in the first playthrough, I defaulted a lot of the times to the left-hand side. So I reckon if we go right, it might be the right option for us. So let's try the right-hand door. The door opens into a small passageway, which is paved with small stones. A short distance further on, an ornately carved door marks the end of a passageway. But just before the door, a side passage leads off to the left. You approach the door, listening for any signs of life inside. As you touch the handle, a voice says, "Do not knock, just enter," from inside. Will you enter the room as instructed? Or will you decide against entering the room rather, and taking the passage that leading off to the left? Well, I think if we didn't go in when he asked us, it might be quite suspect. And if we're not going to go allowed to go down the left passageway, it may cause suspicion. Whereas if we just went through the door, it might be better for us. We can find an excuse. We've spoken to the guard after all, haven't we, and the butler. So we have spoken to a couple of people, and we know the password. So it might be that it may play in our favour. The door being ornate as well may lead to some kind of more structured room rather than the cave-like system in the Citadel, which might also be quite helpful. So I reckon actually we'll enter the room as instructed this time, guys. Okay. You enter a room which is evidently a library of some sort. Books stretch from ceiling to floor on each wall, and several tables and chairs are lined up down the centre of the room. At the far end sits a dark-skinned man who looks up at you from a book over narrow eyeglasses. Behind him is a door. "Yes, what is it?" he snaps. "Which book are you looking for?" You scan the various shelves, which are labelled. Which book were you asking for? To request the biographies of Balthus Dyer, turn to 18. Asking for the secrets of Black Tower, turn to 238, or to inquire about the creatures of the kingdom of Kragan Rock, turn to 375. The one that kind of springs to mind straight away is the Black Tower secrets, because I've got a feeling that that kind of area of the Citadel is going to be like proper trap. There'll be like hidden secret doors and things, so I reckon that is a good book to look at first. But Balthus Dyer is quite an interesting one to look at too, because he's obviously the person we're fighting against. He's the sorcerer, he's the one that we're going to be trying to defeat at the end of this book. And there may be some bit of information about him that also gives us an idea on how we can perhaps defeat him in his psychology. So, firstly, I reckon the Secrets of Black Tower might be a good option for us. So let's have a look at that one first. Okay. He indicates a section of the shelves and you take a book to one of the tables to read for it. The book is most enlightening, tracing the history of the Citadel. The Black Tower was built by Balthus Dyer's grandfather as it became a sanctuary for the forces of evil, law and order, gradually making way for chaos as the monstrous creatures battled their way up the power hierarchy. Interesting. Dyer's grandfather eventually found it necessary to protect himself from his minions by setting up various protective traps between the creatures and his own dwellings. Most notorious of these being the Doom Pit trap and the magical combination lock on the door to his own room. The combination of the lock is 217. That's going to be very helpful. You read further about the various secret passageways that permeate the Citadel. So Doom Pit trap, perhaps that was in our first playthrough, that might have been that little pit perhaps. You may then choose either to ask the librarian for the section on Balthus Dyer, request a section on Creatures of Crag and Rock, or you may leave the room through the door at the far end. Well, we might as well ask for Balthus Dyer, surely, because he is the guy we're facing, and I think the Creatures of Crag and Rock probably isn't as relevant because it's broad on a like a place rather than a specific location like where we are at the Citadel. It might be quite helpful, but I don't think we need that information as much as the Balthus Dyer psychology. Or we could just leave the room. But this guy seems quite chill. I reckon. He's given us a good impression. Like he's not said intruder or anything like that. So I reckon we'll have a look and ask for the Balthus Dyer book, shall we? Okay. He points to a section just above the floor, which you pursue. Eventually, you choose one volume and settle down to read through it. Balthus Dyer is apparently third in line of sorcerer warlords ruling over the Black Tower and the Kingdom of Crag and Rock. He rose to power after the death of his father, Kragan Dyer, some years ago. The Dyers have been masters of black sorcery for generations, but their strength and power last during the night time only. Sunlight is like poison to them. That's good to know. Shortly after his father's death, Balthus Dyer married the Lady Lucretia, herself a black sorceress, and since that time they have ruled together over the Kingdom of Crag and Rock. As you finish the book, you notice the librarian is holding his hand to his ear, apparently listening to something. He glances up at you quizzically. You may either look for another useful book which may aid you on your quest, or attempt to leave the library through the door behind the librarian. As if listening to something, it says here, doesn't it? If he's listening to something, well, I don't think headphones or earpods would have been invented in libraries just yet in this fantasy world, but for all I know, it could be. But yeah, I picked up on that straight away. Listening to something and glances up at us quizzically. Okay. My gut instinct is actually to continue to look for books. Maybe it's just our own imagination, perhaps. Maybe the author has put that description on there on purpose. Maybe he's just looking at us quizzically, and his posture is just one that looks like he is listening to something, like, you know, like you're in Lost in Thought or something like that. I'm sure we've all had it. But yes, let's look for another useful book, because I don't really think he's that suspicious of us, surely, because he would have made it more obvious. I think I was wrong in this case, guys. As you study the shelves, you hear a commotion behind you. You wheel around in time to see orc-like creatures, armed and on guard, materializing one after the other behind you. They advance and surround you. The tallest one moves his face close to yours and blows a puff of breath straight into your eyes. The room spins and you slump to the ground, unconscious. Turn 2, 3, 4. I wasn't expecting that. Okay, we're in some sort of cell, it seems. And an interesting creature. is in front of us. You wake up in a dirty room with rough walls cut into the rock. Iron bars in the window and the door confirms your suspicion that you are in a prison cell of some sort. There is not much you can do but sit on the straw mattress in one corner until someone actually appears. An hour or so later you hear a shuffling noise outside. Looking through the bar in the doors, you can see a lizard-like creature shuffling down the corridor carrying a mug and bowl. The beast has two heads which talk to each other as it walks. Its skin is grey and scaly, and a long tail follows it up the passage. It stops at your door and pushes the bowl and mug through a small opening in your cell, then shambles off to sit at a table across the hall. You've been given bread and broth. Will you eat and drink, or will you call out to the creature a Cowlacorn? Well, we might as well shout at it, surely, because if it just leaves, then I think this might be the end of our adventure. So let's shout at it, shall we? Perhaps we should autosave here, just in case, guys. We'll put a bookmark here. The creature is not very talkative, but you do discover that you are in the dungeons beneath the Black Tower. Ah, okay. So we are in the Black Tower then, excellent. And you will probably never be released, oh great, unless you are given to the Ganges for sport. When you question him about Balthus Dire, he goes silent. You had better try a spell to get you out of this prison. Okay. Choose a spell scroll that you think might help you out of this situation. We can't try the Fool's Gold spell scroll. But we've got an ESP spell scroll. That's the Mind Reader one, isn't it? And an Illusion spell scroll. Let's have a look at our spell scrolls list, shall we? Okay. So we've got one Scroll of Illusion. And we've also got two ESP spells, haven't we? Perhaps we should have a look at the ESP spell first, because we've got two of those. So we can probably afford to use one of those now, and perhaps we'll leave the Illusion spell till later. So let's try that, shall we? Let's do a ESP spell scroll. You concentrate, and images from the Cowlacorn flash through your mind. You see a plate full of dead snakes, and a similar looking creature with greyish skin, possibly the female of its species. Then you feel a great sense of pleasure as you see an unfortunate creature bound to the wall, having its toes tickled with a burning torch. Then you see the plate of snakes again. Evidently, the creature thinks about little but the simple pleasures of its miserable life, and you will not learn much about how to escape. Damn, okay. But we do have an illusion spell, however, so let's try that one, shall we? Because I think if we choose neither, we're just going to be in the prison cell, like, just chilling, unless if something, like, godly happens. Let's try an illusion spell. Okay. You chant the words of the spell scroll quietly and concentrate on the illusion you are about to summon. You can either convince him that he is being attacked by an enemy, or make yourself disappear in the hope that he will come looking for you. Which illusion will you summon? To trick the Cowlacorn into thinking it's being attacked by an enemy, or to make it seem as though you have completely disappeared to the 246. Interesting. I reckon if we did do this disappearing spell, I don't actually know if he would open the door. Whereas if you think that if the Cowlacorn is thinking it's going to be attacked by an enemy, maybe we can. It's a tricky one. It's a tricky one. I think the Cowlacorn wouldn't actually, if we disappear, he's just chilling at his table. You know, he isn't going to be eyeing us all the time. He knows we're in the cell, or supposedly. So if we disappear and we say, hey, you know, we're just going to reveal ourselves as still being in the cell, so he's just going to leave us in there anyway. So the only option I think logically that works is the first one, which is to trick Cowlacorn into thinking that it's being attacked by an enemy. That's the only thing I can think of out of the two, unless there's different options, which there isn't. Let's try that one then. As your spell takes effect, you see a small mouse run towards the table. You curse as you realise the spell cannot have worked properly. But hope returns as one of the Calcorm heads sees the mouse and looks horrified. The other head suddenly notices it, and both throats streak together. The creature jumps on the table, and the Calcorm screams in terror as the harmless little mouse approaches, sniffing fastly at the ground on the way. You let the Calcorm suffer for some moments and then call out that you will get rid of the mouse for him if he will release you. He agrees quickly and throws you the keys. You let yourself out, grab your sword, which was leaning against the wall, and set off down the passageway. Once you are safe distance away, you break the spell and the mouse disappears. Wow, okay. Interesting, so the actual spell then, the creature being attacked was actually the mouse, so that must have been its like worst like enemy or something, or it has an absolute fear of mouses like mice. So that worked, but I wasn't expecting that to be the illusion. Okay, turn to 174. Brilliant, we are now out at last. Okay. The passageway twists and turns, eventually ending in a flight of stairs going upward. You climb the stairs and find yourself in a short passageway ending at a dead end. As you examine the wall, you discover a small lever which you pull. The rock face ahead opens slightly and closes behind you as you walk through. You are now standing in front of a door which is indeed locked. Will you try to break it down? If so, turn to 268. Or you can use a Strength Spell Scroll. Good question that. It doesn't really specify how strong the door is, but there's no description indicating that the door is really like ornate or heavy, or the wood is really strong in the door, or it's metal. There's nothing distinct about the door, which makes me think it's probably quite a normal door. So I reckon it's probably fine to break it down, or try to at least. As you hit the door, the wood cracks a little but does not give away. You try it again, and this time the wood splits down the middle. You break through your way through and enter the room behind it. Turn 210. Ah! I thought I recognised the previous section. If you played through with me through playthrough 1, we know this room quite well. Quite an interesting little figure he is. You now stand in a large, round room. It is lit by a single torch fixed in one wall. There is no furniture in the room, save for a rough wooden table and a chair in the centre, hovering above the table. Fast asleep is a very small man dressed in a green shirt and pantaloons. He cannot be more than a metre tall, and you cannot believe that he is still asleep after your noisy entrance. You hear a creak and turn to your right in time to see a small catapult fire a missile of some sort straight at you. It's going to hit you unless you use a shielding spell. Shall we use the spell scroll, or will we not? Now, from playthrough 1, we find out that this this projectile is not quite as life-threatening as we think, so we're going to say if not. You try to duck, but cannot avoid the full impact of the missile, which hits you all over your forehead and splatters all over your face. You brace yourself, waiting for perhaps an acidic reaction to take place, but the mushy liquid merely drips off your face onto the ground. Cautiously, you test it, first with your finger and then with your tongue. You have been just hit by a ripe tomato. You turn to face the sleeping figure who begins to stir. Okay. So yes, not life-threatening, just a tomato. Cautiously, you approach the little man. As you get close, a single eye opens and you look straight in the face. A wide grin spreads between the creature's ear and he disappears. "Good morning to you," says a chirpy little voice behind you, and you swirl around to see him, standing there, still grinning. "I am old Samus, the leprechaun," he chuckles, and holds his hand out to you. He seems friendly enough. Will you shake his hand and try and befriend him, or will you draw your sword? Let's draw our sword. You quickly unsheathe the sword, pointing it towards the leprechaun. He throws a glance at the blade, and to your horror, it droops limply from the hilt, hanging downward like a leather belt. It seems that you won't get too far acting aggressively. Perhaps you had better ask him the way onwards, oh dear. Oh, I wouldn't go this way, says Osamus. These are not pleasant parts. These 3 doors are the only way onward. 2 of them are very dangerous, and the other is very smelly. On the opposite side of the room are 3 doors. One has a brass handle, one has a copper handle, and one has a bronze one. Which one will we choose? Brass, copper, bronze? We'll ask Osamus for his advice. Let's ask him for his advice, see what he says. Which one would I take, eh? He muses. Let's see. I would not take the 2 doors to the left of the copper-handled door, nor the door to the right of the bronze-handled one. Which door will we choose? Let's try brass, shall we? You open the door and peer through into the darkness beyond. You walk a couple of paces forward, allowing your eyes to accustom themselves to the blackness. You close the door behind you, bidding the leprechaun farewell. Oh, thank goodness for that. A sudden, intense flash of light bursts out in front of us. You shield your eyes and then rub them, but you cannot see a thing. Panic hits you as you hear a low growling noise. Padded footsteps come closer and you cry out in pain as this unseen creature roars and embeds its sharp teeth in your leg. What will we do? Use a strength spell, or draw your sword and slash out at the creature? Let's slash our sword. You slash about madly with your sword but cannot hit the creature. Either it is extremely quick or has no solid body for you to hit. Its teeth are now tearing at your flesh and you can feel blood on your leg. You will have to protect yourself with magic or face certain death from this unseen creature. Now, from our previous playthrough we discovered that this is actually all an illusion. So I'm not actually going to use a strength spell scroll at all in this case, so we're going to choose not to cast either. The creature is savaging you mercilessly and you are powerless to prevent it. Your leg is covered in blood and the pain is sickening. To no avail, you struggle with the unseen head. You are in agony. The creature lunges at your neck. Your last memory before losing consciousness is of its jaws closing around your throat. You awake and look around. As your memory returns, you are amazed that you can see. Your leg feels tender but is uninjured. You hear a small chuckle coming from above you, and the whole thing suddenly makes sense. Floating above you is Osamus, now laughing loudly. The whole thing has been one big practical joke. You are enraged and leap to your feet, but as you glare at the funny little man, rolling about in the air of hysterics, you cannot help but see the funny side too. You chuckle, then giggle, then laugh loudly. For some time, the 2 of you roar with laughter until tears stream down your faces. When you are both able to control yourselves, you eventually settle down to chat. He is a pleasant little man. Before you leave, he says, "Indeed you are good sport. Your way ahead is fraught with danger though, but perhaps these will help you." With a wave of his hand, a sword and a plate appears on the table. The sword is a magical battle sword and increases your skill by 1 point during battle. The plate is in fact a silver mirror of fine workmanship. You take these with you, but you will have to leave your old sword behind. You bid Osamus farewell and leave the room. Which door shall we leave by? Brass, copper or bronze? Well, we got quite a lot of objects, didn't we? So we got the sword, which is just as well because he turned our sword into a belt. So we've got +1 battle sword now. So we've actually got 12 skill, 11 + 1. And the silver mirror is going to come in handy. I'll tell you why, because we learned from the library, didn't we, that they don't like sunlight, and that mirror is probably going to help us reflect something, I expect. So that's excellent. So we've got that as well. Should we try the brass door again? Let's try brass, shall we? Outside the door, the passage slopes downwards and you follow it for several minutes. You notice an unpleasant smell which gets stronger and stronger as you go. Eventually, you come to an opening. Looking through it, holding your nose, you can see a large open sewer flowing across a passageway. A rope hangs down the ceiling. Will you wade across the sewer or try and grab the rope and swing across? I don't trust this at all. Rope, I've got a feeling might be some sort of trap, so I reckon we should just wade across the sewer, but perhaps we should, like... Perhaps say... No, let's not say it. Let's go for it. Let's see what happens. Let's wade across the sewer. You hold your nose and step forward into the slimy water. A couple of steps in, you feel a pulling on your leg. Lifting it out of the water, you find that some sort of vine has curled itself around your leg. Oh, of course. You leap back to the bank, and the vine remains fixed. From out of the water, one end of the vine rises, moves around in the air as if looking at you, and then falls back with a splash. You realise, of course, that this is not a vine at all, but a long sewer snake, which is now pulling itself towards you. Alright, I think we're going to combat, guys. So, you'll need to fight the sewer snake in order to cut yourself free, or we can use a spell scroll. Let's battle this foe. I don't think we need a spell scroll to defeat this person. Yeah, we're probably fine. We've got good stats. We're no cowards. Let's do it without magic. The long, slimy snake slithers through the putrid water towards you, hissing and baring its fangs. You must fight. Okay, so 7 stamina, 6 skill. Okay, we've got 8, he got 7. I presume it's a he, might be a she. Right, stamina, yep, we just got that stamina down there, so we've got 10 there for us, 8 for the enemy. So we've, yep, overall beat them, so an extra 2 stamina off the other person. Oh, they rolled quite good there. But not good enough, we still hit the snake. Dodged that blow there. And I think we've, yep, skewered the snake as it were. And we are indeed triumphant. Excellent. We do indeed defeat this troublesome reptile. Okay, you continue your attempt to cross the river. You get across without further instances, but you are certainly looking forward to your next bath, I bet. You continue along the passageway until you reach a junction where you can either go straight on or take a passage off to the left. What shall we do? Left fork or straight on? Maybe we should go straight on. Okay, where are we? Some way along the passage, you arrive at a four-way junction. You take the path to the north, which eventually leads to a large wooden door. You can hear nothing but listening at the keyhole. Well, I don't see any point in us charging down the door. Let's open the door slowly and quietly and see what happens. The handle turns and you step into a dark room. Ah, okay. I know this place now. You look around the room. It is lit only by your torch, although a fairly large room. It has a little furniture in it. Although the large boulder sliced flat resembles a table and a smaller rock forms a sort of stool behind it, in one corner a pile of rocks are held together with mud. You cannot imagine their purpose, although they support 3 wooden chests. Then you jump with fright as the torch lights up a large creature, seemingly made of rock itself, standing by the door. It is roughly human-shaped, although somewhat larger. Its eyes are staring straight at you, but you cannot be sure it is actually seeing you. Now, there was actually some boxes in the corner that we were interested in before, and I think there was some sets of keys, and I think for some reason we couldn't open the boxes, so I reckon we should try and do that, because there might be an item that we need in there. So let's try that. Alright, so sorry about that. Alarm there. Okay, let's continue then. Let's do the boxes. At your first movement, the creature seems to break from its trance and steps towards you. Clearly it's guarding something there. Seeing this, you may either run for the door at the far end of the room or make for the boxes and risk taking on this silent giant. Let's make for the boxes, that's what we're there for. Now here, the golem advancing towards you is a slow moving creature, and you reach the boxes easily. You curse as you find they are all locked. As you struggle with the locks, the golem closes in on you. How will you confront this mighty creature? Now, in our first playthrough, we actually used a creature copy spell here, which I think is perfect because it actually stopped the creature entirely from actually attacking us at all. So I reckon the creature copy spell is a good one to use here. A perfect copy of the golem forms in front of you. You command it to attack the real golem, which is now almost upon you. While your creation distracts the original, you have a chance to examine the boxes. While the original golem and the copy fight noisily behind the boxes, you have a chance to peek inside one of the boxes. Which will you choose? The first, second, or third? First. Let's try the first one. After some struggling, the box opens. Inside is a silver key. What would you like to do with it next? Now, last time we did this option, we put it in the third box and it got stuck in and we couldn't open them at all. So I reckon the second box. The key turns, and removing the lock, you open the box to find yet another key, this time cut in a glowing green metal. Will you try this new key on the third box? Or we can leave the room. Well, let's try it. Okay. The key turns, the lock clicks open, and you look inside the box. Inside the box is a glass jar, and inside this jar is a spider. But this is not a normal spider at all. This creature has a face of an old man. He is talking to you, but you cannot make out what he is saying. A noise startles you, and you spin around to see that the door, the one you came through, is beginning to open. You put the jar in your bag, and you make for the other door, to the 237. You open the door and step forward into the passageway, which runs eastwards for several meters, and then ends at the foot of the staircase. You climb the stairs and eventually find yourself in a narrow passageway. A short distance ahead, you can see an opening into a large, well-lit room. You press on forwards, and this sounds familiar. Yep, brilliant stuff. So, I'm actually going to end the session here, guys. I think we might be on track to actually finishing this book and possibly defeating the enemy, because we've got loads of items here, 2-on-7 combination, and a magical battle sword. We're doing ever so well, I think. So I reckon we've got a good chance at defeating this sorcerer once and for all. But I hope you've had a good, good day. I hope you've enjoyed watching this video. I hope I've been some entertainment for yourself. If you like the video, please like and subscribe. It would really, really help kind of the algorithms of YouTube and things. I very much appreciate it. I've also got a playlist of videos on kind of self-help and inspirational, kind of motivational stuff. I do it on the side as well. And of course I'll be doing more Fighting Fantasy game book series in the future too. So hopefully next part we will defeat this creature, this sorcerer, once and for all. Thank you so much for watching, guys. Take care and have a good rest of your day. Take care. Bye.